Hey guys, it's Deena. Hi, happy Sunday to you guys. Welcome to FlyNubianQueen.com here on Facebook, the network for melanated women, just like you and me and some guys. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to take a few minutes here to promote um, the channel while we are waiting for people to come in. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday evening, getting ready for the next work week tomorrow. If you haven't already, as you're coming in, make sure you're giving us the thumbs up. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already to Fly Nubian Queen on Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe on that platform as well. And if you haven't already, please go check out flynubianmoney.com to learn more about your money and how to get your money up, how to make your money work for you. If you're thinking about a business, then please go to flynubianbusiness.com to learn about starting a business. If you would like to get some gear and support us that way here at the channel, please go to shopfnq.com and text the word Queens to 31996. That's 31996, so you can get some text alerts and updates. So I see people are coming in. I really appreciate that because I did not advertise this ahead of time because I was really trying to figure out what am I going to do for the topic today. And today we're going to talk about, hey Deborah, hi Renee. We're going to talk about, do you value yourself? Do you devalue yourself? And I came across an article that I am queuing up here right now for you guys. It's an old article from Psychology Today, but it's a goodie. It's an oldie but a goodie, if you know what I mean. So I am pulling that up now. And I did post something in the, in the comment section there at the top. Do you value yourself? Do you value yourself? So I was finding that I was in a class, I'm taking a class called The Psychology of Money, where it really digs into, your thought processes, how you were raised, how you relate to money, the emotional feelings you have around money. It's really a great class that I'm taking, and I would recommend for anyone to take that because it really reveals to you a lot about your unconscious relationship to money. And money, as we know, is a tool. It is a form of currency. Currency, as we know, is a wavelength. So it kind of gives you the opportunity to accomplish many things in life. I mean, this world runs on money, right? And we are paid for our time. For our time, we get money in exchange for that. Sometimes people volunteer their time, but actually the most valuable thing that we have on this earth, some would argue, is our time, because time is irreplaceable. In some ways, time may be even more valuable than what people deem to be the highest thing, which is love. And I'm going to kind of go into some of my philosophies around love, value, self-worth, money. And then I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So we have a nice handful of people in here now, and I really thank you guys so much for being here. I love you guys. And I'm always happy to see everyone who comes into the room to join us. Hey, Arthur Martin, thank you for putting that in. Text the word Queens to 31996. Love y'all family so very much. Missouri, hey, Missouri in the house. So what do you guys think? Do you find that you value yourself or devalue yourself in certain situations? I thought I had a pretty high sense of self-value, but as I started taking this class, and equating myself with, trying to dig in and find out how I felt about money, I found that surprisingly, I had devalued myself in the past. And it was due to certain circumstances in my childhood and then things that were repeated as I got older. And so that really bothered me. It surprised me and it kind of bothered me because especially more recently, as I've been doing, a lot of soul searching, digging into myself and just understanding who I am as a woman, in particular as a Black American woman. Um, I really feel good about myself at this point in time in my life. But I did notice that there was a disconnect in what I was able to earn while I was working. As some of you guys know, I'm out here in LA. I'm in the entertainment business. And there were some opportunities that I felt I should have gotten. And after auditioning, there's a lot of rejection in the entertainment industry that you have to deal with on almost a daily basis every time you go for an audition. And it takes a really strong person with a high self-worth to not allow that to get to them on some level. And so just quickly before we get too deeply into my personal story, I want to read this from Psychology Today, and the article is entitled, "You Are the Way You Value and Devalue. Criticism is the only reliable form of autobiography." So this is from Stephen Stosny, which is Stosny, PhD, Anger in the Age of Entitlement. So this was back in October 2nd, 2008. I just skimmed over the article just so I like to bring you guys some references and stuff and not just like talk off the top of my head. But I also, I'm going to admit that I didn't read all the way through this article, but I just pulled out a couple of bits and pieces so that we could just discuss here, just to give us a little bit of, some crumbs to or some seeds, plant some seeds that we can grow into a really deep and hopefully evolving conversation. So self-value is a far more useful construction than self-esteem. The latter is at best a function of what you think about yourself, mostly in comparison to others, or worse, a depiction of your ego. Value is more behavioral than conceptual, more about how you act toward what you value, including yourself, than how you regard it. So let's look at that again. Value is more behavioral than conceptual, more about how you act toward what you value, including thyself, than how you regard it. To value something goes beyond regarding it as important. You also appreciate its qualities while investing the time, energy, effort, and sacrifice necessary for its maintenance. Now I want to throw something out there to us as queens, as fly-moving queens, melanated women, right? Black women, Black American descendants of slaves or slavery, however you want to look at it. And also the wider community beyond just those of us who are descendants from slaves. Do we value ourselves as individuals and as a community? I like to bring these questions to us as queens so that we can get into it and kind of start to dissect what determines our worth. How do we value ourselves? So I do see a couple of comments coming in here, so I want to read those real quick. Kianga Twiggs Legacy Kearney. I don't feel like I'm devaluing myself per se, but I realize that I don't put me first. I give a lot of energy to helping others and forgetting to help myself. Hashtag, no, I am not okay. Wow, sis. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I want to pose a question to you, Keandra. Let's get into what you just said, because that's very deep. And thank you for being honest and open and sharing that part of yourself. You don't feel like you're devaluing yourself per se, but you realize that you don't put you first. Isn't that the very definition of devaluing yourself, in a sense? You give a lot of energy to helping others, which is good, but you know how they say on an airplane, if there's in case of an emergency and the little thing drops down for you to breathe through, you have to save yourself. You have to put it onto yourself first, even before you help your child. Because you could die, you could expire, pass out, stop breathing, choke to death on smoke inhalation in the midst of trying to help your child, and now both of you perish, right? So I'm saying that to you to let you know that even though you don't feel like you're devaluing yourself per se, the fact that you're realizing that you may be putting more effort into helping others before you're helping and taking care of yourself, that is actually a form of devaluing, according to this article. So let's look at it again. Value is more behavioral than conceptual. So a concept is something that lives in your mind. It's mental, right? Whereas behavioral shows in your actions. So they say you will know a man or a woman by the fruits of their labor. By the fruits of their labor means by what their behaviors produce. So if you are saying that your behavior is that you're putting others first and helping them before you're helping yourself and taking care of yourself, then that in and of itself is displaying a sense of devalue, or I'm not going to say worthlessness because that sounds so heavy, but that you value yourself less than you value others and their well-being. You're not valuing your own well-being. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not helping yourself first. Now, some people think that's selfish, and I think in our community in particular, probably because of the history that we have with slavery and all of that stuff that has come down through the generations, Black women have been prone to taking care of everyone else but themselves, valuing everyone else's well-being over themselves. And that's where you got a lot of women being overweight. You get a lot of women with mental and emotional issues that haven't been dealt with. You get a lot of women who have a lot of broken relationships. And they think that they are being this martyr, they're self-sacrificing. I'm such a good person. I'm such a good woman. I did this for him. I did this for her. I didn't do this because my mama wanted me to do this and stay here and take care of her. But how are you really helping that person? It then becomes more of an enabling, right? If you're giving so much of yourself to that person and helping them to the detriment of your own well-being, that is a form of devaluing. So I would say, Keandra, if you are really going through that and you're saying you don't feel in your emotions and maybe in your head, you don't want to own the concept of devaluing yourself, look at your behaviors and do a self-check. And give yourself that psychological space like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Give yourself that psychological space to step back without judgment and just take an honest look and say, could I care for myself more? Could I place myself at a higher value? Because that's what I had to do. So if you think this applies to you, then please, by all means, we're here to learn and grow and love each other together. So I can't come to you guys and spread these messages and talk to you guys about these deep subjects if I don't first do some self-examination. And I want to let you know that every time before I come and talk to you guys about any subject that I bring forward, I always do some self-examination. What are my thoughts and feelings around it? Who am I? What have I gone through? And I don't always share my personal stories, but I do talk to some of my friends and family members about the subject matter so I can get certain things off my chest with them. And then occasionally I will bring it to you like I'm bringing it to you now, where I was sitting in class and I was realizing that I was lowering my value in certain situations, that I was not allowing myself to feel that I was good enough, that I was adequate enough to be chosen. You know why? Because I was not choosing me. There was a certain point in time throughout my life where I had let myself go for various reasons. And you think that you're doing good, you think that you're doing okay, but then you have to one of your friends says something or a family member or you have some experience and you catch yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, or you walk past a mirror or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? What am I doing? Why am I dating this guy that I know he cannot do anything to help my life? I know that I'm better than this. And it's not about looking down on people. It's about knowing your value and your worth. This can go for a relationship. This can go for friendships. This can go for work situations, career goals. This can go for family goals. This can go for a lot of different things. And what I found out in this psychology of money class is that I was setting low expectations and low limit and lowering my worth and value. And I was like, why am I doing this? Example, a friend of mine called me up and he said, hey, what's going on? Want to get together? Da, da, da. I was like, okay, yeah, I would love to hang out. He said, well, what do you want to do? Now, at the time, I wanted to go shopping and I wanted to get a couple things that I needed and a couple things that I wanted. Um, and he's a very generous person. So I immediately said, hey, you know what? I want to go shopping. And he said, okay, I'm going to come pick you up. Now, as soon as he said that, first I was like, oh, awesome. He's going to take me shopping. This is amazing. It's not the first time a guy has ever taken me shopping, but it's been a while, like maybe 6 months or so since I've had something like that happen. So I was just like, okay, this is awesome. Like, all right, good. So I immediately started thinking in my mind about how much he made, what kind of career, what the situation was, how's this going to work? And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I, I'm going to go to sell racks. I'm like in the store. Now, he didn't say like, oh, you have a limit on how much you're going to spend or anything like that. I started doing this to myself in my mind. And I didn't even realize it until after the fact. I know I needed, X, Y, and Z. And instead of me just going and getting the things that I needed to take care of myself, because these were actually things that I needed, I started like looking around and trying to figure out like, I don't want to, I know he doesn't make, he's not a millionaire. So, I probably need to be frugal. And then only through hindsight and working on this in my class did I realize that I was doing this with this person and they hadn't set a limitation. I was setting a limitation for my own worth and my own value. Why was I doing that? This person stepped up and they wanted to take me out and treat me to, a shopping day. And they didn't put any limitation. I was lowering myself. It would have been better off if I would have gone for everything that I wanted and then had him say, like, he may have never said like, oh, you can't get those things. He might not have even have said that. I might have gotten the things that I wanted and been fulfilled within myself, because I noticed that I didn't feel good worrying and devaluing myself like that. It kind of took away from the experience, right? But it's almost like I was trying to lower myself because I was afraid of him telling me no, right? And then when I was in class and I was doing some self-examination in this class, and we were talking about, the value of money and your worth and, what it means to have someone spoil you or have someone take care of you financially or something like that. I talked about this particular incident, and, a lot of people in class were kind of surprised because they didn't see me as a person who would have a low self-value or who would devalue themselves in situations. And so they know, if they say, if you see it in one area of your life, it's probably present in other areas of your life. And so then it became clear, it opened up to me how I had been devaluing myself in different areas of my life, relationships, career. For the most part, health is I'm pretty good with my health, But there's a couple of things that I definitely could be doing better with my health. And I was just like, wow, I never would have thought that. I would not be putting myself first and at the highest value. And so I had to dig deep. I had to dig deep. I had to go in and say, Deena, why are you doing this? Why are you not feeling like you are worth it? And that's something I'm still looking into. That's not something that you're going to come up with all at once. This is about growth and self-examination, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'm looking into myself, and I started to see where there were times in my life as a child where when I would shine brightly, it felt like I would lose something. I would lose friends. I would lose, the love of family members. I would lose something that was important or valuable to me. Whenever I was shining brightly, it was like I would have a loss. Whenever I was always up here, I would have a loss. And no one ever taught me that it is okay to let go of things as you elevate. No one ever taught me that. No one ever taught me that sometimes when you're moving up and you're moving higher into higher vibrational energy and more self-love and more worth, as you're shifting, as you're changing, that your environment, your friends, your coworkers, your job, where you live, sometimes those things are going to fall away. You're going to have to move out. You're going to have to go away. That's the only way you can elevate and grow and increase your worth. No one ever told me that that was okay. And so I did not know how to handle that type of loss. And so it started to feel more comfortable to me because I didn't know how to navigate that evolution, that growth, and to let go. Say, for example, with Kianja, what you were saying, you love helping people. You have a beautiful heart, right? So I'm just going to use your situation as an example. I don't know your life and all the details, but just using what you told me as an example. You love helping people. You love seeing people, be their best selves or help them get out of a ditch, right? But are you doing that because secretly you don't feel like you can move yourself forward if you don't have that type of commitment, like this person, I did this for them, so now they owe me, or now I'm getting fulfillment through that, and we're all in this together, and we're all gonna. Sometimes we have to move on. We have to let go, and it has to be okay as we're continuing to grow and elevate and place ourselves as Black women at higher levels. As we place our value higher, we're going to have to let go of some people, some places, some things. And that can be painful. It can feel like a loss. Sometimes you're trying to elevate yourself and live your best life, and you will be surprised at some of the people who will fall away, who will not support and promote your growth and your elevation. Example, in my life, some of you know I used to live in Australia for a couple of years, and I met a guy there who took really good care of me. He was older than me by about 19 years, and he was just, he treated me really well. I didn't have to work. He gave me an allowance. Everything was paid for. I lived with him, and he wasn't like super rich or anything, but he made really good money. He invested his money. He had investment property, and he lived somewhat, I would say, looking back, he lived somewhat frugally, but at the same time, we did what we wanted to do. So there was no like restrictions, and he would always surprise me with gifts, and we would go out to eat, and we were living a good life. There was no wanting in that relationship from my perspective. And so I remember when I moved back with him, I came home for a little while, and I hated being home, and I just hated being away from him. And I had met this amazing man, and we were in love, and I just couldn't take it. So I got up one day, and I just jumped on a plane and went back over there to be with him for, another year and a half until we eventually broke up. But you know what I lost during that time? As I was, being with this man and enjoying his love for me and all the, it was one of my very early love relationships. You know who I lost during that time? My father. And he didn't die, but he might as well have, because he literally would not speak to me for at least 6 months. I would call home to talk to my mom and my brother, and my dad would never be there, or he would be busy. And I would say, well, tell dad I said hi, tell him I love him, tell him to call me. And he wouldn't call me. I mean, for a long time. And that hurt. And I was a young woman at the time, and I just could not understand why my father wasn't talking to me. And I don't think we ever really talked about it. And now he has passed on, so I can't even ask him, like, Dad, what was that about? But I think, he was a little bit upset with me because I kind of, quote unquote, ran off, with my back to Australia without telling him. But I didn't want to tell anybody that I was going to do this because I didn't want anyone talking me out of it. And at the time, that was the best thing for me. That was me valuing me, because I knew that I was not happy being home away from my man that I loved at the time. And I knew that I wanted to have that experience of seeing where that relationship was going to go. Now, it didn't work out long term, but I would not trade that experience in for anything, even for my father talking to me. He didn't talk to me for 6 months. So there was something deep inside of me that made me feel like, in order for me to elevate or grow, I had to make a sacrifice. In order for me to value myself and place me first, I had to make a sacrifice. And that scared me, because the sacrifice typically meant that I was going to lose something of value. But now that I think about it, and thank you guys so much for bearing witness to this very personal conversation. Now that I think about it, I choose me. I choose me. I'm glad that I chose me. There were many times throughout my life where, when I was choosing me and my own happiness and value of myself at the highest level, there were people in my life who didn't want that for me. And they were coming to me out of love, out of care, from their own place and their own perspectives. But something we have to learn and realize as we continue to evolve as individual women, as Black women, and as women in our community, as a collective, as we continue to raise our value, as we continue to elevate our self-worth, we know that there are going to be people who are afraid for us, especially in our community. There's a lot of fear, false evidence appearing real in our community, that we can't be that. We can't do that. Girl, who do you think you are? Child, you think they're gonna let you do that? You black and a woman, okay? Honey, that's not gonna. Girl, I'm just worried about you. And you know the difference between if someone's coming to you and you have a weight issue and they're talking to you, that's different, okay? And we know the difference, right? If someone's coming to you and they're saying, look, you've been angry, you've been upset, you've been doing some things that are self-destructive, we're worried about you, that's different. So I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about if you get up and you start eating right and you start taking care of yourself and you know that you're putting yourself first, and you have people who are deliberately or maybe underhandedly undermining you, or they're talking against you, or they're kind of throwing shade on your self-development and your growth, or all of a sudden because you're getting yourself together and living your best life, they're coming to you and they're like, you've changed, you're different. You're not the same Deena that we knew. That's the moment that you have to choose. And in the past, I can honestly say that I have not honored myself. I have not chosen myself first. I had devalued myself, my wants, my dreams on certain things in order to keep the peace, in order to maintain a relationship, in order to keep a position at work, in order to not outshine, these individuals. In order, there's many times that I have dogged my own light. And for what purpose? Because those people move on with their lives. Or you're sitting around a bunch of miserable people. And then you look at your life and you're like, is this what I wanted? I want to be sitting around here with these people. Is this why I sacrificed being with that man? Or is this why I sacrificed, taking that promotion? Or is this why, I sacrificed moving across country? Or is this, I sacrificed it for this? And that's what you have to ask yourself. Am I putting me first? And I'm not talking about being a selfish, nasty itch. I'm talking about honoring yourself, loving yourself, placing yourself at the highest value, helping yourself first. When I first moved to LA, I was surprised by some of my friends who all of a sudden just didn't talk to me anymore. Who, when I would call home and I would be so happy, hey girl, what's up? What you been up to? What you doing? What's going on? Girl, I'm just it's the same old over here, girl. I don't even know why you asking. Anyway, you know what, girl? I don't have time to talk because I got this and that going. Okay, yeah, I understand. Well, call me back. And then weeks would go by, we'd hear from them. Hey girl, I miss you. What's been going on? Girl, I can talk to you in a minute. Call them a month later. Girl, you know what? Ain't too much happening. What's going on with you? It's like, oh, I'm doing this and doing that. I mean, LA is crazy. Oh, well, that's good. But you know what, girl? I gotta go because And it was like, at first, it really, really hurt. I didn't understand why this girl that was like one of my best friends, all of a sudden, she didn't want to talk to me anymore. And that's what I'm saying. When I really delved into this in this class, and after class, I sat and thought about it. To me, being successful, living my best life, and valuing myself, and going after my dreams meant that I was going to have to sacrifice people I love, my comfort zone. And I know some of you guys can relate to me about this. And so that's when I really understood what it meant to have a fear of success. Because when you become successful, You cannot be the same person that you were. In order to be successful, you have to raise your value. You have to increase your worth. And that is going to involve some sacrifice, some letting go, some amount of loss. But you cannot receive the new thing if you're holding on tight to that anchor that's weighing you down. You can't elevate if you don't allow yourself to grow beyond the soil. If you don't push through that dirt, it may be comfortable down there with all those folks that you used to. But if you don't honor who you are and the greatness inside of you, if we as Black women in America, knowing who our ancestors are, knowing who we are today, what we have gone through, everything that we have invented, how brilliantly, beautifully creative we are, how amazing we are as Black women, right? How amazing I am, how amazing you are, what you have inside. If you don't honor that, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Some of us are going to go higher than anyone could ever imagine, right? Look at Michelle Obama. Look at Meghan Markle. Look at Byron Allen. Look at Beyonce and Jay-Z. Regardless of what you think of their politics or the different things that they're doing, look at Oprah, you know? Look at Dr. Boyce. Look at some of the different people. I'm sure even in your personal life, you can go and you can pick out people who, yeah, Auntie and them might have something to say about, oh, her, this. But when you step back and you look at that person's life and you see that they're living their own truth and they're living their best life, you can't do anything but be proud of them. You can't do anything but look at that and say, I have respect. You gotta respect that. You gotta respect someone who is elevating themselves beyond all the BS, all the naysayers, right? Now, whether or not you agree with their personal, political politics, there is a certain amount of sacrifice that happens with success. Success and moving forward and valuing yourself means shifting your mindset. And that's why I started calling this the mindset evolutionary. We are here to shift our mindset so that we, as a community of women, can continue to raise our value and our worth. So I'm just going to take a moment here to say thank you, everybody, for joining me, Deena Jacobs, live here on Sunday night, every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time and 10 p.m. Eastern time here at flynubianqueen.com on Facebook, the network for melanated women. I am Deena Jacobs, your mindset evolutionary, and thank you so much for being here and joining me on this very spontaneous talk about valuing yourself, being a high value woman. Do you devalue yourself? Do you ever find that you devalue yourself? I have. I just discovered it, and it became apparent to me. And I'm glad because now I can fix it. I've been listening to a meditation by Bob Proctor. I listened to it in the morning and at night for 30 days. It's been about, I want to say about a week and a half that I've been listening to it now. I started at the beginning of September. And the meditation says, I am so happy and grateful now that I walk to and through my fears to achieve my goals and live my dreams. And it says that like, I don't know, about 1,000 times in 30 minutes. And I just listen to it first things in the morning when my mind is very clear, right as I'm waking up, and right before I drift off to sleep, so that I can really sink into my subconscious mind. And the beautiful thing about this meditation is since I've been listening to it, things like this have been coming up, right? And so I'm glad that they're coming up because that's what the meditation is saying, that I'm walking to and through my fears to achieve my goals and live my dreams. That is me valuing myself. And I want to give that to you. And so if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share this video. If you're on YouTube, I would love for you to share that there. Please check us out on our other platforms. We're on YouTube, Fly a Nubian Queen. We are on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're all over the place. Please go to all these platforms and check us out. Like, subscribe, share, and watch us there. And please share it with your friends. I really, really appreciate you guys being here and listening and witnessing this with me. And I want to get into some of your comments. So I'm going to scroll down. Hey, Jade Arundel. Hey, wow, you're here watching this? Thank you. I appreciate it. Love all the work you are doing. I watch your videos, and I appreciated your video on the dreads. Thank you for that one. Matthew Rixner says, only things that matter are God and self. Okay, I feel you on that. Katende Mustafa, hi all. I think I value myself, but there are other factors that determine that. Most importantly, the way you value people around you. Well, what do you mean by that, Katende? Because what I'm arguing here, or what I'm, presenting to you here, is that you as a woman, I'm thinking Katende as a woman or a man, have to place a high value on yourself. And I think as a community of people, we have not always felt comfortable valuing ourselves. I mean, think about it. We are descendants of slaves. Slaves were not able to value themselves. We were forced to receive the value that was placed upon us by our masters, our captors, our slavers, right? These people who out in the open were placing a high value on us when they were selling us and, using us as a form of commerce and for us to create things for them to profit from. But when it was time to interact with us in an individual way or as a community, they would diminish our value in every sense of the word and in every opportunity. And now we still see that happening in different ways today, even when we look at the things that we create and produce. We are devaluing ourselves in our music in some ways, right? If you want to look at what's going on in the media, you want to look at, how as a group of people, sometimes as women, we can devalue ourselves and how we present ourselves, how we use our bodies, how, we demonstrate our sexuality in different ways. We can be devaluing of ourselves. So this is something that in a lot of ways I had to take a look at myself. And I told the woman who is running my group for the psychology of money, I told her, I said, look, next week, which is this coming week, I said, I'm just giving you a heads up that I'm going to be discussing race in this group. And we have a mixed group of people. We have some whites, blacks, Hispanics, whatever, young and old in this group. And I let her know, I said, look, I'm going to be discussing race because this is a part of why I am devaluing myself. Because I think as a Black woman, there have been times when I have gone out into the world and I have felt so valuable in myself as a person, as an individual, as a woman, as a Black woman, right? And my talents, my gifts, my abilities, my thoughts, my gifts, everything, right? My body, my looks, my hair, everything about me, I felt like I am it. And then I'm in that feeling and that vibration. And then there were people in the community who would come to me and tell me that basically I was worthless because I'm a Black woman. And I have never been one to accept that. And in my videos, I've always talked to you guys about that issue. And just like I'm talking to you guys about it, I'm dealing with it too. And I want you to know that we are going to get through this together. We are going to support each other on our rise. Because we are the only people who can set our value as individuals first, and then as the collective. That's what we are here to do. I am on an evolutionary journey, and I'm glad that you guys are here to join me. So, you think you value yourself, Ketende, but there are other factors that determine that, most importantly, the way you value people around you. Now, I'm not sure that I'm completely understanding that based on how you wrote it, so if you want to rewrite it, please feel free. But I am not placing a higher value on anyone else other than myself. Now, women who have children may feel a little differently, but one thing I will urge you to do as a mother, because I experienced growing up with a mother who did not completely value herself, there was some work that was needed to be done there in dealing with past traumas that she had. And so as a result of her not directly valuing herself enough to go and handle those things, and she wasn't completely terrible. She did the best that she knew how to do, but there was more work that could have been done for her raising her own value. That would have helped her to have a much better relationship with me, and then model that so that I could look at her as an example instead of looking at her and wanting to be nothing like her. Do you get what I'm saying? Because your children know when you're messed up. Your children know when you're not feeling good. Your children know when you're not living your best life. Your children know when you're stressed. I don't care how you try to hide it, how you try to put on that mommy face, or how you try to love them. You loving them so much till you're smothering them. They can feel the stress. They can feel you not living your best life. And I'm not saying that you just, I'm doing me, because that's the other end of the spectrum, where some people are not loving themselves and handling their responsibilities, because if you have children, you do have to balance it out. But if mommy is depressed, if mommy is overweight, if mommy is unhealthy, if mommy is lonely, if mommy is dealing with some past traumas, just like when I had Key on and she talked about, she knew that she needed to shift who she was. She needed to heal herself. She needed to become a better person in order to be the best for her son, that her son deserved the best. He did not deserve a mother who was afraid to hug him and touch him because she had been sexually traumatized. These are the types of things that I'm talking about. You have to value yourself. It's like being on the airplane. When that mask drops down, they tell you, help yourself, save yourself first, then you can save others. And that's why I have started this journey ahead of these videos, so that I am hopefully, learning things and growing and developing and becoming the best me that I can be, so that I can demonstrate that and offer you guys some guidance on this journey. So again, thank you guys for joining me here at FlyNewBeingQueen.com, the network for melanated women. I am Deena Jacobs, your mindset evolutionary, and we are becoming our best selves. We are growing. We are beautiful Black women. And we are the most brilliantly beautiful, gifted beings on this earth, and we deserve the best that life has to offer. So I give you that affirmation that I am the most brilliantly beautiful, gifted being, and I deserve the best that life has to offer. You can start saying that meditation. You can put that up on your mirror. That's what I do. Or create your own. But start freeing yourselves of feeling like you have to help everybody else and do everything for everybody else. Outside society, white supremacy, your coworkers, your family, your so-called friends, your real friends, whoever, nobody can put value on you. That is something that we as a community of women, Black women, American descendants of slaves, whatever you want to call yourself, African American, African descendant, whatever, no one has the right to put value on us anymore. This is part of us freeing ourselves in our minds, bodies, and souls. I place the value on me. And I can be whoever and whatever, however I choose to be, as long as I am honoring myself. And you need to be honest with yourself, young ladies and women. I'm not talking about going out here and sleeping with everybody on the block and being like, I'm doing me. Are you honoring yourself at that point? Now, that's between you, yourself, and you. Or as someone would say, me, myself, and I, right? Now, if you truly inside yourself feel that that is honoring you, then what can I say about it? Nothing, because that is you, right? But when you really sit in those quiet spaces, ask yourself, these are personal conversations that we have to have with ourselves, right? As we continue to grow and evolve and become the magnificent, brilliant, beautiful, gifted beings that we are. We have so much to offer this world. And it doesn't make sense for us to keep offering it to the outside world and letting them take it from us, and offering it to our family and friends and letting them take it from us, and we have nothing left for ourselves. We're not valuing ourselves. We're giving it all away. We're not going to do that anymore. I know I'm not. So let's get into some more comments. Charlie Felton says, I don't. I'm thinking he's saying he doesn't devalue himself. That's good, Charlie. Keep your head up. I see you got your head up in your picture. B. Lee has love and kisses to me. Hey, B. Lee. Tayani Chioke says, knowing your worth and showing your worth are two different things. Absolutely, Queen. You know, we were just talking about that. And she says, friendships, goals. Tell me more, darling. Tell me more. I'd love to hear more about your friendship goals. Tree a team. Hi, Flynn. Oh, baby. Okay. I don't read that language. Is there any way you can translate that? Because I would love to know what you're saying. And then Lynn Branson says, oh, hey, Lynn. That's one of my friends. So he's put the prayer hands. So, you know, it's important. Let's see. Wow, the hour is almost up. Yikes. I was running my mouth, huh? Well, thank you guys so much for being here and joining me. If you have any more comments or anything you want to say about this topic, I just want to, let's see. Self-value. I want to read that one more time just to finish us out. And then also, I will drop this Bob Proctor meditation if anyone is interested in it, because it's really helping me get over a lot of my fears. Let's see if I can find that. I'll drop this. You know how when you're like looking for something and it's not coming up? Is this it? Boo. Oh, I found it. Okay. So I'm going to drop this in here for you guys. So if you want to use this, I hope it can help you, or create your own. You know, we have all this great technology nowadays. So I'm sure that if you want to create your own meditation for increasing your self-value, you have to know what you're worth. And you have to really look at, are the things in your life really reflective of your personal worth, your personal value? And remember that self-value is far more useful than self-esteem. The latter is at best a function of what you think about yourself. That's self-esteem, mostly in comparison to others. So it's like you're looking at yourself and then you're looking at your friends and you're like, well, I'm better than them because da, 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 da. But are you your best you? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are lower vibrational energy than you, so that you don't have to push yourself to be the best and be the highest? Or are you allowing these people to anchor you in a place where you're not able to shine as brightly, where you're not able to use your gifts, where you're not able to, are you afraid to get that promotion because you're afraid that your work husband or your work wife or whoever, your best buddies at work, you're not going to be able to sit and eat with them anymore? We have to cut that out as Black women. It is time for us to really step into our roles as queens. We're calling ourselves queens, but are we living as queens? Are we taking the throne? Are we inside ourselves squashing down our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, our own goals in order to help everybody else out? Are we using that as an excuse? Are we having a fear of success? Are we having a fear of loss? That's legitimate. Go talk it out. Talk it out to a good friend, a good family member that you know is going to listen and support you, no matter what your choices are, as long as you're not harming yourself or someone else, right? Um, that's what we have to do. And we cannot be afraid to get therapy, to go to group sessions, to work on ourselves. And I know in general, Black women, we tend to, talk things out, but sometimes it's beyond talking about with your girlfriends. Sometimes it's about going and talking to professionals, right? Going and reading a book and enacting some things. And sometimes we have to do these things in private, because sometimes, in what I have found anyway, is that you can't always tell people while you're in process, because it can be scary for them too. Sometimes they don't want to lose you, because they know if you start taking off and doing everything and traveling, and maybe you have to move because you got a new situation, or you get married, or you have kids or whatever, then your connection and relationship to them is going to change. It's just inevitable. It's a part of life. And we can't be afraid of that, because that fear will block us from manifesting the best of who we are. And we need that right now in this time, because we are moving forward as a community towards receiving what we deserve. So we must vibrate on that level with that energy of deserving, openness, receiving. And we have to be at the highest level so that we are worthy. And this is not about, being worth it to the white man and all that. Yeah, you can take it that way if you want to. This is about self-value and self-worth and deserving. I deserve the best that life has to offer. That is a meditation that you can say to yourself. And I will not settle for less. And take that with you through the day. I honor and I value myself. And knowing that honoring and valuing yourself sometimes means you have to say no and let go. Sometimes you're going to have to say no and let go. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Value is more behavioral than conceptual. So if you are not sure that whether or not you're valuing yourself in certain areas of your life, again, create that psychological space where you remove the emotion from it and observe your behaviors and the outcomes. And when you have a quiet moment, look at how your day went. Were there some areas where you remained small when you could have spoken up? Were there some areas where you were putting other people first when you really truly needed to take care of yourself? When it was more important for you to take care of yourself? Are you using your children, your husband, your family, your friends, your job, your dog, your whatever as an excuse? And then in recognizing that, don't beat yourself up. Don't devalue yourself more. Just recognize it and say, oh my gosh, I forgive myself for doing that, and I'm going to shift and do something different. I'm going to make a different choice in the future. I love myself. I forgive myself. And that is going to start to shift your behavior. And each time you make a different choice, congratulate yourself. And anytime that you slip into those old behaviors of devaluing, don't beat yourself up. Just realize that, okay, I'm learning, I'm growing. I might have slipped up for a minute, I might have slipped up, but that's okay. There'll be the next time I'm going to do better. So as you guys know, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here and joining me every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time here at FlyMovingQueen.com, the network for melanated women just like you and me, and some guys too. This is Deena Jacobs Live, your mindset evolutionary. Good night.